Prayer?
Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshatarine Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Today we'll continue to read from Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, chapter 7, text 31 onwards. The regulative principles observed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were sometimes intolerable, and all the devotees became greatly affected by them. Although strictly observing the regulative principles, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could not tolerate the unhappiness felt by his devotees. Text 32. Therefore, to prevent them from accompanying him and becoming unhappy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu declared their good qualities to be false. Text 33. Four devotees then humbly insisted that they go with the Lord, but Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, being the independent Supreme Personality of Godhead, did not accept their request. Text 34. Thereupon, Lord Nityananda said, "Whatever you order is my duty, regardless of whether it results in happiness or unhappiness." Text 35. Yet I will still submit one petition to you. Please consider it, and if you think it proper, please accept it. Text 36. You must take with you a loin cloth, external clothes, and a water pot. You should take nothing more than this. Text 37. Since your two hands will always be engaged in chanting and counting the holy names, how will you be able to carry the water pot and external garments? Question mark. Text 38. When along the way you fall unconscious in ecstatic love of Godhead, who will protect your belongings, the water pot, garments, and so forth? Question mark. Text 39. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, here is a simple Brahmana named Krishna Dasa. Please accept him and take him with you. That is my request. Text 40. He will carry your water pot and garments. You may do whatever you like. He will not say a word. Text 41. Accepting the request of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, Lord Chaitanya took all his devotees and went to the house of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Text 42. As soon as they entered his house, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya offered the Lord obeisances and a place to sit. After seating all the others, the Bhattacharya took his seat. Text 43. After they had discussed various topics about Lord Krishna, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu informed Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, I have come to your place just to receive your order. Text 44. My elder brother Vishwarupa has taken sannyasa and gone to South India. Now I must go search for him. Text 45. Please permit me to go, for I must tour South India. With your permission, I shall soon return very happily. Text 46. Upon hearing this, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya became very much agitated. Catching hold of the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gave this sorrowful reply. Text 47. After many births, due to some pious activity, I got your association. Now Providence is breaking this invaluable association. Text 48. If a thunderbolt falls on my head, or if my son dies, I can tolerate it, but I cannot endure the unhappiness of separation from you. Text 49. My dear Lord, you are the independent Supreme Personality of Godhead. Certainly, you will depart. I know that. Still, I ask you to stay here a few days more so that I can see your lotus feet. Text 50. Upon hearing Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's request, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu relented. He stayed a few days longer and did not depart. Text 51. The Bhattacharya eagerly invited Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to his home and fed him very nicely. Text 52. The Bhattacharya's wife, whose name was Sati Mata, the mother of Sati, did the cooking. The narrations of these pastimes are very wonderful. Text 53. Later, I shall tell about this in elaborate detail, but at present, I wish to describe Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's South Indian tour. Text 54. After staying 5 days at the home of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally asked his permission to depart for South India. Text 55. After receiving the Bhattacharya's permission, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to see Lord Jagannatha in the temple. He took the Bhattacharya with him. Text 56. Seeing Lord Jagannatha, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also begged his permission. The priest then immediately delivered prasadam and a garland to Lord Chaitanya. Text 57. Thus, receiving Lord Jagannatha's permission in the form of a garland, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu offered obeisances, and in great jubilation he departed. He prepared to depart for South India. Text 58. Accompanied by his personal associates and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu circumambulated the altar of Jagannatha. The Lord then departed on his South Indian tour. Text 59. While the Lord was going along the path of Alalanatha, which was located on the seashore, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya gave the following orders to Gopinatha Acharya. Text 60. Bring the 4 sets of loin cloths and outer garments I keep at home, and also some prasadam of Lord Jagannatha. You may carry these things with the help of some brahmana. Text 61. While Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was departing, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya submitted the following at his lotus feet. My Lord, I have one final request that I hope you will kindly fulfill. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Madhya. So, the context where we are in is that this chapter is going to describe Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's South India tour. So, this is South India tour has not yet begun. Initially, the chapter was describing how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was talking to different devotees and telling them that he wants to go to South India like that. So that's what last session we discussed, that brief aspects, where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was affectionately criticizing his devotees, is described. Meaning, he was telling how Nityananda Prabhu wants him to not take austerities. He breaks the danda. He broke the danda, sannyas danda of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because he didn't want Supreme Lord to carry a danda like that. And then he criticized Jagadananda Prabhu that he always wants Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to enjoy opulences, whereas Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants to be follow the regulations of renounced order sannyasi like that, where you try to maintain simple life like that. And then like that, Mukunda also, he said, you become unhappy when you see that I'm doing austerities. And then he says, Damodara, you will always correct me the etiquette like that he was saying. All that with a loving affection, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying. So that was what we discussed last time. So it's continuing that loving affection description by, what's the name, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, the other, is saying the regulative principles observed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are sometimes intolerable. Why is intolerable? Because Lord Chaitanya wanted to set the perfect example of how a sannyasi should follow like that. So that way, no one, everybody gets the right example to follow, and nobody criticizes anyone also. So he wanted to be right example. This is similar to the Lord Rama's incarnation, where Lord Rama wanted to be Maryada Purushottama. We wanted to set the right example. Similarly, here Chaitanya Lila also, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to set like that, especially for the ashram he's in like that. So that's why when he's trying to do that, they were intolerable especially for the devotees, close devotees to him, because they know he's already Supreme Lord. Why do you need to follow like ordinary rules like everybody else like that? And that's the point here. And then although strictly observing the regulative principles, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could not tolerate the unhappiness felt by his devotees. This again transitioning to the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not just, okay, I came here to follow certain example, I don't care what others think. He's not in that mode. That you'll notice from this and next verse will say. He could not tolerate that devotees are unhappy like that. Now what is he doing? Next verse is saying, therefore, to prevent them, that means to prevent the devotees from accompanying him, that means he didn't want them to come all the way in South India tour. And then seeing his regulative principles, they become unhappy if they come. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually, that's why he criticized them. Actually, they're good qualities. They don't want Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to take the trouble. They want Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to be happy. They want Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to enjoy like Supreme Lord, not to do austerities like that. So those good qualities also is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is criticizing as if they're like false like that for their own benefit, so that they don't get hurt if they come with him and see him following religious principles like that. That's the affectionate dealings between Supreme Lord and his devotees. So devotees are considering what is happiness and pleasing to Supreme Lord, and Supreme Lord is considering what is pleasing to the devotees like that. And so, but still is not is like win-win situation. Is trying to make a path in such a way that devotees are not unhappy, and then he can accomplish his mission also, wanting to go to South India tour like that. So then, poor devotees insisted that they also go with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not accept the request. There are very few, one or two purports only in this section. We'll go through that. 37th is the next purport. Then Lord Nityananda placed a request. What did he say? First he says, whatever your order is my duty, regardless of whether it results in happiness or unhappiness. Let us say you give an order saying that you stay here. That actually causes me unhappiness because I'll be separated from you. But still, because if it's your order, I'll follow that. That's my duty. Following your order is my duty, like that is saying. So that's the right mood. So if you notice, that's the mood he's coming from. So he already accepted whatever Supreme Lord decides is ultimate. But still he places a request. So this is something we can also learn. When we're placing a request before his spiritual master, for example, then we are very, first of all, our consciousness is prepared. Meaning, even though we might have a particular preference this way or that way like that, but we keep the supreme special master order, request or preference at the higher platform or a higher weight in decision making like that. Then that means when we go before speech master, we're not looking that speech master should say like this only like that. We're open to both the options or multiple options or third option, fourth option like that. Because sometimes we may not be able to see all the possibilities. But great personalities like speech masters, they can see many more options than us. So when we go before them, we go with a flexibility that we want to listen and accept what he's saying like that. So similar mode Lord Nityananda is exhibiting here, even though he's also Supreme Lord himself, but he's in service mode. Now, he's saying that, first of all, he said, whatever you order is my duty. But still, I submit one petition to you. That means giving a request. And he's saying, please consider it. And if you think it proper, please accept it. So if you notice his statements, it's very clear he is treating Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as superior. Sometimes we don't follow that etiquette like that. We say, okay, my dear Guru Maharaj, I want you to do like this. Can you please do like this? That means we care about more about what we want than what he wants, like that. So here it's very clear. Say, please consider it. I'll place a request. That means I would like you to do this. That's the point, right? But then he's saying, please consider it. And if you think it proper, please accept it. Many times we see the similar things in other texts also. Even Bhagavatam also, many times the request comes like, if you think, even Krishna's friends actually, I remember, Krishna's friends also ask like that. If you think it's good, if you think it's okay, please help, please do that like that. Talavan forest example, for example, past time I remember. They say we want to go eat the tal fruits. But if you both think okay, then please let's go forward like that. That means they're still giving the we want it, but they're still giving the preference to the superior person's preference basically. So that's another thing we can learn from here. Now, this is all about consciousness level. Even if you don't ask like this, our internal consciousness should be like this. That means whatever they want is more preferent, more important for me than more what my even if you don't say these words, if you so desire, please do it. If you think it's proper, please do it. Even if you don't say it, internally we should have it. Then we can accept it properly. Then Nityananda Prabhu, what is the request he's placing? He's saying the request is there in few verses together like that. These four verses. Usually starts with, you must take a lion cloth, external clothes, and a water pot also. You should take nothing more than this. He's saying go in a simple way like that. Number one. Obviously, that's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants. Then he says, this is an interesting thing. This is one verse as purport. He's saying, but if you take those, you're always chanting and you're counting with your fingers, one hand of the fingers, fingers of one hand, you're counting the chanting Hare Krishna mantras, how many mantras you're chanting. Another hand, you're counting the rounds, he's saying basically. So I think with the one hand is chanting, one hand it's counting, is saying basically. Then the point here is making is, because you're busy chanting, how will you carry the water pot and extra garments? That's the request intelligently is placing. His mission, Nityananda Prabhu's request is, he wants him to take some servant basically. That is the idea. And then in this purport, Prabhupada makes a couple of points. One is, even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was chanting the holy name a fixed number of times daily. Number one. And he says, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's followers, the Six Goswamis, we know, Sankhya Purvaka Nama Gana Natibi, like that, Shat Goswami Astaka, in that also is given. Sankhya Purvaka, that means with numbers. They do fixed sadhana in a fixed way, fixed number of rounds of chanting, fixed number of obeisances before deity, fixed number of obeisances to Vaishnavas, fixed number of times going around Govardhan like that. They used to do regulated way. That means fixed, instead of doing, okay, today I'll do 64 rounds, today I will do 16 rounds, today I'll do 10 obeisances, tomorrow I'll do 1,000 obeisances, not like that. The fixed way, regulated way, they used to do sadhana. So Prabhupada is emphasizing that also for us. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu set example like that. Six Goswami set an example like that. So Haridas Thakur chanted 3 lakh names every day. We don't have to imitate all of them, but we have to follow the principle. Principle is, we also need to do regulated sadhana every day, including regulated fixed number of rounds every day. That is the principle Sri Prabhupada is giving the purport for us that we should follow. Not like if I feel like it, I'll chant. If I don't feel like it, I'll chant. I don't chant like that. But some devotees make up this explanation. Oh, I don't feel like it. It's important to chant with feelings, so I don't chant today, like that. No, actually, whatever way, of course, best way is to chant with feelings. But if you're not having the proper feelings, even with the negative feelings, you can chant. Krishna, I don't feel like chanting today. Please accept this chanting, like that also we can chant. That feeling also is investing of heart, basically. That is one aspect. Second aspect is, even if you invest the time in chanting that time, that's still pleasing to Krishna. That's the other point Acharya has described. Going to the next verse. When along the way you fall unconscious, so this is another reason he's giving. First reason he gave is how we can hold water pot and external garments with chanting with one hand and counting with one hand like that. Then actually Prabhupada confirms Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is chanting like this by quoting another Stava Malaya. In 2 other scriptures, it seems Chaitanya Chandramrita and Rupa Goswami's Stavamala, it seems. There also is described what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chanting, it seems. So now going to the next verse, the next reason is giving. So sometimes you become unconscious in ecstatic love. Then who will protect your belongings at that time? The water pot and garments he talked about. That's another reason he's giving why you should take somebody like that. Logical argument. Nityananda Prabhu continues saying that now that he gave the reasoning, he says, now you take a simple Brahmana by name Krishnadasa. That is my request. Please take him with you so that he can take care of these things, help you care for your belongings when you fall in ecstasy or when you're chanting the holy name, you can carry your belongings like that, basically. Then, yeah. And then other point is, remember Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, oh, if Jagadananda Prabhu comes, he will say, you enjoy like this. If Mukunda Prabhu comes, he will say, oh, he will be unhappy that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is doing austerities like this. To assure him, is Nityananda Prabhu saying, you may do whatever you like. He will not say a word. That means you can do austerities, you can do regulations, whatever you want to do. He will not say a word to you. That means your final say like that. Now, by accepting the Nityananda Prabhu's request, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took all his devotees and went to the house of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. That means he agreed to take one brahmachari at least with him, one brahmana at least, Krishnadasa. So now as soon as he entered Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's home, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's home, actually this is another section. What happens in Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's home is a bigger pastime. So we'll hear some of it here and some of it in another chapter coming up. So once he went to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's home, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya offered the obeisances to Lord Chaitanya and he gave a place to sit. And after everybody sat, the guest sat, then but Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya also took his seat. And they all discussed various topics of Krishna. That means Krishna Katha they discussed, not just some news items. They discussed Krishna Katha. That's another practical example for us. And then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started to ask Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, see the humility of Lord Chaitanya. He says, I come to your place just to receive your order. That means he's asking permission to go to South India tours. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is asking Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. He says, my elder brother Vishrupa has taken sannyasa and gone to South India. Now I must go to search for him. Remember we discussed last time that this is a reason, external reason for Lord Chaitanya by which he's going. Actual internal reason is he wants to preach. Now he's asking permission. Please permit me to go for a month to South India. With your permission, I shall soon return very happily. As soon as Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya heard this, he became very much agitated and he caught hold of Lord Chaitanya's feet and he began to sorrowfully describe, after many births, due to some piety, I got your association. Now, Providence is breaking this invaluable association. Like that, is feeling bad, basically. As soon as he heard that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants to go for South India tour away from him. And he expresses that in a different way. He says, if a thunderbolt falls in my head, or if my son dies, I can tolerate it. But I cannot endure the unhappiness of separation from you, like that Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is describing. And then he says, my dear Lord, see, this is also similar to Chaitanya Nityananda Prabhu's. My dear Lord, you are independent Supreme Personality of Godhead. Swarat, Srimad Bhagavatam, first verse also talks about it. You are the independent Supreme Personality of Godhead. Certainly you will depart. That means you will do whatever you want, basically. I know that. But still, I ask you to stay for a few days more so that I can see your lotus feet. So, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya did not want to object Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's decision and plan to go. Instead, he only asked him, can you please stay a few more days so I can see your lotus feet like that. Then after hearing this request, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed back for a few more days and he did not depart from there, it seems. Now, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya eagerly invited Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to his home and fed very nicely. Is described, but Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's wife, Sati Mata, the mother of Sati, she did the cooking, and the details of the pastimes he's saying that he will describe later in this Madhya Lila. Right now, he's saying that he's focused on describing, other is focused on describing South India tour. That's why he's saying I'll describe that later. Actually, many places in Chaitanya Charitamrita will hear what are the items cooked and sometimes the recipes also for the cooking like that. So that he's going to describe later on, it seems. And there's a beautiful pastime also that describes the instructive pastime about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy also comes in that pastime. We'll hear more later on. Then After staying 5 more days at Sarambhatachary's home, Lord Chaitanya asked permission again to go back to South India, go to South India. After receiving permission, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to see Jagannath in the temple, and he took the Bhattacharya also with him, it seems, Sarambhatacharyya also with him. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu begged permission of Jagannath also. This is another important principle for us. When we are going out, we can pay obeisance to our deities and pray to them that wherever we going, may it be successful, may it bring us to closer to Krishna, like that. Then the priest immediately gave him prasadam and a garland to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it seems. Then after getting the garland, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very happy. You might have noticed a few times that whenever Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu receives a Mahaprasadam garland from Pujari, he is very happy in Mahaprasadam. That's what I noticed 2-3 times in the last couple of chapters. So then he prepared to depart to South India. So he started going along with going with his personal associates and Sarambhatacharya. So what did he do first? He circumambulated the altar of Jagannath. Then he started for South India tour. So while the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was about to go on the path to go to Alalnath. Alalnath is a Vishnu temple, is there in Alalnath. It's very close to Jagannath Puri. So it was located on the seashore, it seems. Sarvambhattacharya told Gopinath Acharya something. What did he tell? He told him to bring some lion claws, 4 sets of lion claws and outer garments. He kept at home, and also some prasadam. So all these he wanted to give it to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu before he goes for South India tour. Then that time Sarvambhattacharya places one more request. He says, "My Lord, I have one final request that I hope you'll kindly fulfill." That will continue next session. Essentially, we'll ask him to meet Ramananda Rai. That's the next section. We'll hear more about it. So we'll pause here. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki jai, Sri Prabhupada ki jai. Let's offer obeisance to all the devotees of the Lord. Vancha kalpatarubhesha kupasindu bevacha paditanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you so much, devotees. Hare Krishna. So on the same call, Bhagavad Gita